Welcome to the Workforce Wire podcast, brought to you by Employ Prince George's, bridging the gap between job seekers and businesses. And now, here's your host, Walter Simmons.
Welcome to the Workforce Wire, presented by Employ Prince George's. I'm your host, Walter Simmons. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Ms. Kathryn Troutman, the president and founder of the Resume Place. Welcome to the Workforce Wire today.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here.
That's great. That's great. Today, we're talking about tips to secure a federal job. We're in Prince George's County, Maryland. We border D.C., thousands of jobs, but yet I consistently hear from job seekers in our American Job Center and really across the region, I can't get a federal job. So we had to bring in the expert, Kathryn Troutman, to kind of talk to people about where it starts first, which is the preparation, the actual application to apply for a federal job. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. That's a great topic. I agree with you. Being in Prince George's County, you're so close to D.C., like 2 metros away, right?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of jobs in D.C. and maybe not PG County, but not far away. So I think applying for a federal job. Also, did you know that the U.S. government is the largest employer in the whole United States?
Definitely.
I mean, really, yeah. So this is a great topic. And the first tip that I want to give you, I was thinking about it driving here today, is that you need to know that the federal resume is different than the private sector resume, okay?
Oh, yeah. So that's a really a great tip. And Kathryn, the Workforce Wire is a podcast for job seekers, for businesses, but also for workforce professionals. So what we try to do is provide tips that different workforce professionals across the country can take back to their local area. So before we get too deep, tell everybody about who is the Resume Place? What do you do? Who is Kathryn Troutman? How'd you get here today? Give us a couple of minutes background on who you are and how did you build the Resume Place?
Okay, I can definitely do that. I started the Resume Place a very long time ago in Washington, D.C. on K Street before Federal Resume was here. Federal Resume came in 96. I started the business in the 70s, a long time ago.
Wow.
I started with law students and lawyers and lobbyists on K Street. We made resumes beautiful. They were just gorgeous, and before internet. And then finally, 96, Vice President Gore created this program called Reinvent Your Government, and he said, the government should accept a resume like the rest of the world, because before that, they were doing a 171 form. It was like 30 pages long, and you needed an index and stuff.
Wow.
I mean, who can email that, right?
Okay.
No, or upload it, not. that PDF would be too big for USA Jobs.
Yeah, it wasn't even built for computers.
No, it wasn't. So in 96, I had my office on K Street, and I had helped the first director of USA Jobs get his job. His name was Dick Whitford. And I went to see Dick. I walked right into OPM, no security, nothing, those days. Went right up the elevator. And I said, Dick, what are you going to do about helping these 1.7 million federal employees come up with the resume format? Because this 171 is, too long and it's hard to convert. He said, well, this is what we've done. And he showed me this flyer. It was an 8.5 by 11, 3-panel flyer. And it's OF 510. And it said, what to include in your resume. And I said, that's it? No sample? How are they going to know how to format this? Because at that time, private sector resumes were like 8-point type, 1 page.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a challenge. So, he knew I was serious. He said, Kathryn, just write your book. So I did. I wrote the first book, sitting right here, Federal Resume Guidebook, in 96, first edition. And so that was the beginning of becoming an expert. Actually, I'm the leading expert in federal resume writing because of the book. The book is called the Federal Resume Guidebook. It's in the 6th edition. It is a #2 resume book online right now.
So where can people find the Federal Resume Guidebook 6th edition?
It's everywhere. It's actually in bookstores, believe it or not. It's
Okay.
on a shelf. It's on a shelf. And, of course, Amazon, my website, resume-place.com. You can get it as a PDF. Kindle's not, we improved our Kindle.
Okay.
Kindles are hard when you have sample resumes.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
But we fixed it, so Kindle's good.
So for all of our listeners, you can find Resume, give them the website again?
Resume-place.com.
Resume-place.com. So what does the Resume Place help when a job seeker or a workforce professional goes to the Resume Place website? What can they find?
They can find the services that we provide for people and their resumes.
Such as?
Such as we actually write resumes for people. We consult with them on their resumes. We look at them and tell them what's right, what's wrong, what needs to be fixed. We have a startup service where we do an assessment of the resume and an announcement, and we tell them what needs to be done to make that resume match that announcement. Our goal every day is to try to get our clients best qualified.
There you go.
And then, of course, we make sure they're eligible to apply. Sometimes people will, a regular U.S. citizen will try to apply to a job that's only open to federal employees, so we correct those things.
And that's a good point. To all our listeners out there, our job seekers and our workforce professionals, one tip that we always tell people at our American Job Center in Prince George's County is, are you qualified? Can you meet the general qualifications? Because a lot of people walk into our job centers and they said, I've been applying for jobs for 6 months. I haven't even gotten one call back. The first thing I asked, I said, well, let's see the jobs that you applied for, where you qualified. And especially when you're applying for a federal job or any government job, there are actually jobs that are publicly posted, but they're only for existing government employees. And you can apply for those jobs every day of the week, all night, all day, and you will never get a call back because you're an existing employee. So that's something that job seekers, you really need to focus on, but also workforce professionals, all of our American Job Center staff from across the country need to know to make sure that you ask job seekers who say they've been consistently applying, ask them to give you a log on to their account to see what jobs they applied for and to really see are they applying for jobs they're qualified in. Kathryn, that's a great point. What about the services that you offer to my workforce colleagues across the country?
We have also a Train the Trainer program. It's called the Certified Federal Job Search Trainer, Certified Federal Career Coach program. It's Train the Trainer. And I came up with the idea in 2002. I was teaching a class at Montgomery One Stop.
Okay, yeah, WorkSource Montgomery.
WorkSource Montgomery, yeah. Taught a class, that was my very first class, called 10 Steps to a Federal Job in 2002. And I asked all the unemployment counselors that were there, what percentage of your clients is interested in a federal job? And so they said, only 5%. And I said, what? Montgomery County, you're one exit from D.C.? And then I found out later it was low because they didn't know how to navigate federal. So I do Train the Trainer now, and we just did a big class for Maryland, train the 60 people, so that you all know a lot of what I know on advising all the people that walk in your door here for federal.
And they can get this information online?
It's on my website, resume-place.com.
So workforce professionals, we mentioned earlier that the federal government is the largest employer in the country. If you want to make sure that your staff, your WIOA staff, your Wagner-Pfizer staff are skilled and qualified to help your job seekers access and be prepared for federal jobs, again, visit Kathryn at resume-place.com and get information about how you can get your staff trained. So let's jump into applying for a federal job. And you brought this up earlier. One of the big topics people talk about is the difference between a civilian resume and a federal resume. Can you give our listeners, give myself, I'm not applying for a job, I'm happy at Employed Prince George's, but for everybody else, what's the difference?
There's a massive difference between private sector resume and federal. The big differences are length is one thing. Average length for a federal resume is 5 pages.
Wow.
And I know that's a little shocking for private sector people out there, but the federal HR people who review the resumes need to see on paper the words that represent the qualifications in the announcement. And if your resume is too short, it's just not going to show. The samples that are in my book, the Federal Resume Guide book, are correct. Next thing you would need to know is there's a section in the announcement that's called requirements and qualifications. That section is the pot of gold in the announcement. If you find the specialized experience paragraph, it's only usually like 6 or 8 sentences long. It will say, you must show that you have 1 year specialized experience at the next lower grade or salary level. Please give examples of these, 1, 2, 3, 4.
52 weeks of experience.
That's right. Now, if you do not show that you have that 1 year specialized experience in those 4 areas, you will not be best qualified.
So what's the name of that paragraph?
It's under requirements and qualifications. And then it's called specialized experience.
So specialized experience. When you're applying for a federal job, look up requirements and qualifications and specifically drill down into specialized qualifications. If you do not if your resume and your application does not specifically speak to those qualifications and show 1 year of experience, they will not get a job.
That's exactly right. And when you look at the vacancy announcements on USA Jobs, they're long and they're complicated. A lot of people read the responsibilities section and they think that's a section that they're supposed to match, but that's not it. Responsibilities is what you're going to do if you get hired.
Okay. So you mentioned USA Jobs. For all of our listeners that have never applied for a federal job, have no clue, what is USA Jobs?
Well, that's the website where not all the jobs are posted, but a lot of the 90% of the jobs for government are posted on USA Jobs. And it's a good website. You can search for a keyword, you can search for a title. I like location search really well. So you can search Washington, D.C., all the jobs that there are, and then break it down by the public person. So if I were to apply for a job, my only way to apply is a public person. Because
Okay.
I'm not a spouse, I'm not a veteran, I don't have any hiring authority, so I would be a public person. Some people, when I was trained in all your staff for DLLR, you counsel a lot of people with disabilities. So there's a place right on the USA Jobs that says persons with disabilities, and it shows all the jobs they can apply to.
And that's to Kathryn's point. That's something everybody needs to be aware of, job seekers and workforce professionals, that there is a hiring preference for people that might be veterans, spouses of veterans, people with disabilities. If you served in the Peace Corps and you're less than 1 year moved from the Peace Corps, you have different hiring preferences, and you need to make sure that you state that in your application. You can create a profile on USA Jobs. Now, should they include that information in their resume at the top or at the bottom, or how do they show, like, I'm a veteran?
They show it in like 10 different ways.
Okay.
It goes on the resume at the top that they're a veteran, 5, 10 point, whatever they are, goes at the top of the resume. But also, setting up your account in USA Jobs, there's a profile section where you check off all the hiring authorities that you might be qualified for. So the profile's a little complicated. You have to read the questions really carefully. It'll say, are you a veteran, or are you a military spouse? Are you a person with a disability? They have got so many personnel questions. Just read them carefully and check them off. And then that's a very important section in USA Jobs.
So again, if you're interested in applying for a federal job, Kathryn let us know over 90% of the government jobs are posted at usajobs.gov. Again, usajobs.gov. If you're looking to apply for a job, or if you need assistance, I always say visit your local American Job Center. For all of our people in Prince George's County, you can find our American Job Centers at pgcajc.com. That's www.pgcajc.com. If you're a Prince George's County job seeker, please come visit us. And again, today we have Kathryn Troutman from the Resume Place, and she's talking about tips and techniques. What else do you have to our listeners?
Well, this format, I have a poster here in front of us. That's the resume format that we teach in all my classes. This is the resume format we write for people. I call it the outline format, and it's small paragraphs, and then each paragraph has 3 or 4 words in all caps. So it's not bullet, it's not a block style. It's small paragraphs that are 6 or 8 sentences with a full white return between, easy to read online, easy to read for HR. So I say easy to read. That is so important because a lot of people think that the resumes that go into USA Jobs are read by an automated system for keywords, and that's not true.
Well, it's not?
No. USA Jobs resumes are read by a human resources person. Now,
Is there's no filter?
There's a filter. The filter is the questionnaire. There's something called the self-assessment questionnaire that goes along with each announcement.
Okay.
And that questionnaire is a test. And you have to get 90 points at least.
So how do you get 90 points on this test?
You have to self-assess yourself as being expert in this work. It's a self-assessment. You fill out in the questionnaire how good you are at this work. And here's the scoring. I'll tell you what it is. It goes through A through E. Now, it's not always like this, but at least half of the questionnaires are like this. A is, I've never done this work. I don't know anything about it. And B is I have never, I have training in this work, but I've never done it. And C is I do this work supervised. And D is I do this work unsupervised. And E, the highest level, is I am an expert, or I have supervised, or I am the person who is contacted because of my expertise in this work.
Is it multiple choice, or you have to fill it in?
No, you choose one of those 5 that I just dictated to you.
Wow. So you have to answer the self-assessment.
Yes.
And get through the self-assessment. Then once you get through the self-assessment, you're telling me that these resumes are reviewed by actual people.
Actual people sitting in a chair with their eyes and glasses looking at resumes. And so
that's why it needs to be easily readable.
Absolutely, because another thing that I do is I teach federal resume writing in government agencies, and the HR people and the CPAC people from Army come to the classes and hear us talk about this format. They love the outline format because it's easy to read. And then the trick of the outline format is to take the words from the specialized experience and turn them into the all-cap words in the outline format. It's like a puzzle.
Say that again for everybody that didn't catch that.
So you take the specialized experience paragraph out of the announcement, you study those 4 things they want.
Yep.
And you make a few words in all caps, and you take those words and you put them into the outline format that's in the book and what we teach, and that will make a match between your resume and you. It's magic.
So to our listeners, I say this all the time. When you pull words out of a resume, when you pull words out of a job application and out of a job announcement, and then you put that into the actual application and into your resume, don't translate the words. Don't think that, they said this word and I'm going to use this word. Use the exact same word, the exact same verbiage that the job announcement uses. A lot of people mess up in that one point because instead of saying administrative, they say office. If the job announcement says administrative, your application, all of your assessments, and your resume should say administrative. And I think we lose a lot of people there with just thinking that the changing in verbiage is insignificant. And really, that could be make or break.
Yeah, because those HR people sitting at the desk might be reading, 500 resumes, looking for the matches. HR people will decide who is referred up to the supervisor for possible interview. So the HR person needs to find the words to match the announcement easily because they're so busy looking at resumes. So you want to make their job easy.
And they're more familiar with what they wrote than they are with what you write.
They are familiar with those words in that announcement because they wrote it.
There you go.
And so those words do need to be literal, and the outline format is preferred, and match them.
Okay. So what font? When you're saying 5 pages, what font, what margins for these resumes?
11-point type is good. 1-inch margins is nice because then a nice white space. 5 pages, I don't mind either Times or Arial. Don't get fancy. And if you've got a private sector resume that's got a logo on it and some color and 2 columns, don't do that. Just do something plain.
Keep it simple.
And in fact, I really recommend that you look at the builder in USA Jobs. And
the resume builder.
There's a builder in USA Jobs, and it has very good information in terms of compliance. Because here's another big tip that people don't know.
That's the second big tip.
Yeah, here's another big tip. So for the federal resume to be correct, you have to have month and year to month and year for each of your jobs for at least 10 years. Private sector resumes sometimes just have year to year. And
my resume is year to year.
Well, you have to fix that. Just playing around. So another thing you have to have.
So they have to have the year and the month for 10 years straight.
Absolutely. And
why is that important?
Because HR wants to see if you have 1 year specialized experience at the next lower grade level.
52 weeks. You have to have 52 weeks of experience.
And they're going to get their calculator out, and it has to be that way. So another thing, too, in the builder, you have to have hours per week for each job.
What?
Yes. So 40 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 15 hours a week, 2 hours a week, whatever. Because the HR person, again, is looking for that 1 year specialized experience at the next lower grade level. So those hours per week, if you don't have hours per week in your resume, you're already done. Already done, right there.
You're blowing my mind.
Right.
I'm just blown.
Right.
You have to have, when you write these resumes, it has to be month to year and even hours per week or we're done.
That's it.
For 10 years.
Yeah. So let's say you're a student.
I used to apply for federal jobs. I know now why I never got I never got an email back.
Yeah, man. You got to have hours per week.
I
Isn't
needed
it
you.
amazing? Something so simple.
I needed you.
Yeah.
I found you. I'm happy I found you.
Well, I'm here. So, now, another thing in the builder that they want that you didn't know they wanted is the street address and the city and the state and the zip code for your employers for 10 years. And private sector resumes definitely do not include all that. So that's another thing you would need to add. Now, I don't know that you'd be screened out for that, but I think you should add it. They also ask for a supervisor name and phone number, and can they be contacted? And here's a tip. People are always asking, is it, USA Jobs gives you the option, okay to contact, please do not contact me first. Yeah, and it says right in there.
Okay.
And so people wonder in my classes, they say, is it okay if I put down contact me first? Will they think there's something wrong going on? I said, no, it's fine. Just say contact me first. It's legit because maybe you don't want your supervisor to be contacted first. That is not a negative.
So, and this is a general resume job search tip. You need to notify your references and people you list on your applications before you apply for a job, because you never know how fast that employer is going to call that reference or send an email. And you want to make sure that, one, your references are prepared to talk about you, make sure they remember you. You have to really be prepared. And also you want to know, because if I list Kathryn as my reference and then I call Kathryn and I say, hey, Kathryn, I'm asking my reference, and she goes, ooh, Walter, you probably shouldn't have done that. You're going to realize that your reference might not give you a glowing response to this employer. So you really want to vet your references, let them know you're applying for jobs, and make sure they're prepared. We talk about all this information at our career readiness workshops. If you want to know more about our workforce programs in Prince George's County, visit us at www.employpg.org. That's www.employpg.org, or find us on social media at our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at EmployPG. Are you on social media, Kathryn?
Oh, yes, I sure am. I've got a whole YouTube channel.
How can they find you?
Just go to YouTube and type in Kathryn Troutman.
Okay.
My channel comes up. I got a lot of, this one here, I've got one on the Federal Resume Guide book that's been viewed a lot.
Okay.
And then I got a blog on my website.
You got a blog?
Oh, my gosh, you should sign up for the blog. If you're going federal, the blogs are really good. They come out about once every week or two.
Okay.
Hot tips on federal resume writing, whatever you'd want to know. Really
Okay.
good blogs.
Okay, that's good. So what else do you have for our listeners? We got about 7 minutes left. What are the things they need to know? You've covered a lot of information on your resume and the application. What else should they listen?
I have to say one more thing that's very critical.
Okay.
Then if you want to get an interview, which
Okay.
you do, then your resume has to be interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to put in an accomplishment or 2 or 3 that shows that you're not just average.
No boring resumes and boring people don't want to work with boring people.
No, you won't get an interview with a boring resume. So you have to put in the resume something that you did that was above and beyond some really incredible customer service, or in your case, working here, you have complicated cases that your staff helps with. You would literally put a case story in the resume. It would be a little paragraph, about 6 sentences long, and it would demonstrate your knowledge and how much you care about your customers and how good you are at your job. And not only are you good, you are really good. And so if your resume has good accomplishments in it, job block number 1 should have maybe 2 accomplishments. Job block number 2 could have 1 or 2. But the accomplishments is how you get referred, it's how you get the interview offer. Because I heard from a manager recently said he received 900 resumes, and they had to decide who they were going to interview.
For one job.
Yeah.
So how do you, at 900 to 1, what are you putting in your resume that stands out? And this doesn't mean putting nice, fancy pictures or colors on your resume. This is the content. Make sure that you stand out from the other 900 people applying for that job. People don't want to hire boring. They don't want to hire average. The federal government wants the top tier talent in the country, and so you're going to have to set yourself apart.
And the thing is, private sector accomplishments go in as a one-line bullet, maybe like 8 words, right? Whereas a federal resume being 5 pages, You can tell a little story. You can write about your accomplishment, like where were you doing this work, what customer, what was the challenge of your effort, what actions did you take, and what results came from your efforts. It's a little story. It's called a CCAR story, and that's context, challenge, action, results is the government storytelling formula.
Context, challenge, action, results.
Yes.
Give me that again.
Context, challenge, actions you took, and results.
Context, challenge, action, results. CCAR, that's another gold tip Kathryn has given us. Context, challenge, action, results.
That's right. That's the way your stories go in the resume. And on my website, resume-place.com, I've got a CCAR accomplishment builder. Wow. It's free. It's easy to use. You don't have to sign in. Just go to my resources page and look for the CCAR builder and tell your story there. And you know why else these are really good? They help you to prepare for the interview, because the government interview is an open-ended interview where you tell stories. So Can you tell me a time when you were working with a customer and there was a particular challenge? What was that challenge? And tell me about it. That's a CCAR story.
So that's great. Let's transition the conversation, our last 5 minutes, and let's talk to workforce professionals.
Okay.
Let's talk to my counterparts, workforce board directors, American Job Center managers, career readiness facilitators. How can we better prepare our job seekers for the federal job search process, usajobs.gov, and actually to get a job in the government? Because that's the big ticket is a job center wants to be able to say, hey, you come to us, we'll help you get a federal job, especially in the D.C. Metro. So what can the Prince George's County American Job Centers do to increase our job seekers' chances, outside of making sure that all our staff get trained to be professional federal job search specialists? Again, resume-place.com to get more information. But what can workforce professionals do to better prepare people for jobs in the federal government?
Well, when they come in to see you, and I know they walk in, you see them in person, they should bring their resume with them, and you should look at it and ask them what their experience has been with federal, talk to them a little bit, ask them if they have their resume in the builder on USA Jobs, ask them how many jobs they've applied to, ask them questions about federal. And then, take a look at the resume. It may not be 5 pages, it could be 3. I don't know what format it's in. For my new clients, I recommend that they use the builder to get it all right.
Use the resume builder and
use
USA
the builder.
Jobs.
But I want to give you a tip on that, and everybody, all the workforce people, the USA Jobs builder, if you apply with the builder resume, unfortunately, the type font on the other side for the manager is small. It's only 7.5 type.
I heard that right. A lot of HR professionals in the government don't like that. The resume builder app in USA Jobs. I've heard people say do not submit that resume.
That's true. So go ahead and build your resume in the builder to get it right. Mm-hmm. And then do the print preview, copy it out and put it into a Word file, and then make it your 11-point type, 1-inch margins, and make it look pretty. So I think builder is good. Just, follow that direction and apply with an upload. You have to look at USA Jobs. Another thing workforce people can do is sign up for my blogs. I write new things all the time. I write tips about keywords, and I'm going to be publishing an article on how to apply for a Border Patrol job soon. I've got a blog for FBI special agents. It's been read 25,000 times. And
that's my future career.
All right, then you got to read that blog, because I tell you exactly how to write it. It's different. So I would say read the blogs. You've got to just learn and coaching. And I recommend, if you do have a very serious federal applicant, that you try to remember to follow up with them so that you can get a success story under your belt and find out what happened with them. And if they do it right, if they do the outline format, if they match the keywords, if you show them how to read the announcement to find that specialized experience, you have to teach them. They don't know.
So what can specifically, I know people are mind blown right now. This is a lot of information. I got to have Kathryn Troutman back on the Workforce Wire about 6 times to get all this information. What do you teach in your train-the-trainer courses?
Well, I have here on the paper here, the program is called 10 Steps to a Federal Job.
10 Steps to a Federal Job. 10
steps. And we follow 10 steps everywhere, whether I'm training or coaching. And I can tell you what the 10 steps are if you want to hear them.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, step number 1 is figure out what job you're qualified for.
Okay.
Look at OPM and figure it out. Number 2, network. Who do you know? You know anybody that works in the government? Because the government hires a lot of people outside of USA Jobs.
Okay.
Number 3 is go to USA Jobs and start looking at announcements. just reading them, spend time there, see what's out there. Number 4 is to figure out what keywords would work out of that specialized experience section. Start looking at that carefully. Number 5, look at the core competencies. There's another section in the announcement that will list core competencies that you need to cover also. 6 is to write the resume, outline format. 7 is to look at those questionnaires and figure out how to answer them. 8 is to apply for the job, USA Jobs with your documents and the whole thing. 9 is to track and follow up. What happened? Did you get qualified? Best qualified? Were you ineligible? Why? What happened? Because you can find out. Number 10 is behavior-based interviews, practice for the interview. It is another test.
Okay. So how can a workforce board director, let's say in Arizona, contact you to do a training for his or her local workforce area?
They can write me an email, or they can go to my website and fill out training request form.
Okay.
And then I'll get it, I'll write to them, and we'll talk about it.
Resume-place.com. Again, resume-place.com. We have Kathryn Troutman, a very special guest. I know for a fact she responds because I've emailed her and she's immediately sometimes responding me back at different times of the night saying, what do you need, Walter? She's trained professionals in Maryland. She's trained for the Maryland Department of Labor, our local workforce area. She's a great asset. I've been following the Resume Place for a while. That's why she's on our show. Thank you for coming on the Workforce Wire.
Thank you so much, Walter.
You got it. If you want to know more about Prince George's County and what we're doing, visit us at www.employpg.org or find us on social media at EmployPG. Find me on social media, Walter Simmons. If you want to visit the Resume Place and learn about everything federal jobs, federal resume, visit Kathryn Troutman at resume-place.com. Thank you from the Workforce Wire. I'm going to have you on again.
I'll come back.
All
Just
right.
let me know.
You
I'll
got
be
it.
here. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you
for listening to the Workforce Wire. This is Walter Simmons. Please keep moving our job seekers and our businesses forward. Have a good day.